important thing that this experience of this shock of saying not one of you could serve on my crew right now, the important area is to use it as an example of how our effort as teachers with you can serve you the best. If we went around patting you on the back and complimenting you every time you did something right, it would soothe you. It would be a human approach to happiness. We're not after happiness. We're trying to get you to a point of next level type of performance that you can stand on your own feet a little bit in next level ways. And our job is prodding you. The best thing we can do for you is to show you the areas that you're weak in, and to try to show you how to be strong in those areas. Now, every time we do that, there's hurt. And when there is hurt, the hurt is okay, as we've said before, as long as you quickly put a Band-Aid on it. But it's not our job to do the Band-Aid, it's yours. If you don't do the Band-Aid, you're not doing your job. Our job is to point out these things. Now, I'm just repeating myself. Frequently, by pointing out these things, they can disappoint you or hurt you. Your job is to immediately recover with Band-Aid. Your job is to immediately get the determination to prove that you can succeed in this area of whatever it is that we have just pointed out to you. We are not to apply the positive. We are to apply the negative, in a sense. You are to apply the positive. We are to prick, in a sense, your skin, and so that you'll say, ouch, and recognize what needs to be applied, and you must apply the positive. Now, Nestodi, you're not telling the truth. You're telling what you think is the truth, but I'm going to tell you the truth. You lied to yourself when you thought that this meant that you were even further behind. That is destructive. That's not disappointing. That is destructive.
Did you see there's some stable?
And dishonest thinking. You should not take Star-Rhoda, Guest-Rhoda, no one else should permit yourself such a low, destructive feeling as to think that other classmates are in better shape than you are. You have only one concern, your individual relationship with the next level and older members. Comparisons of yourself with others, if you want to slide back, that's a good way to do it. Because if you can convince yourself that others are in better shape and you're in worse shape, then pretty soon your effort to move forward will be very weak. Because you've already bought the fact that they're going good and you're going lousy. Do you see what we're saying? Don't ever permit yourself such destructive thinking as to compare yourself with your other classmates. Sure.
I'll go even further. I don't believe that she really felt that he was that fact. I think it all shocked you all into it. I think you all believed that you were further along than what you were.
I wanted to.
And the shock of this made you face the reality of it all. And it caused you to think in a different way. In other words, none of you, Lagodi had the best response. But I think I was saying, you want that? I'm going to show you. I'm going to make it. And in other words,
and some of you said that you realized it was real that this was real, that you were kind of resisting in hope that maybe it wasn't, but when this point was brought out, you recognized that it was the fact. And it brought you into reality, and that's healthy, as long as you don't think the fact is I'm worthless, and I might as well accept it. You know, that's complete destructive, completely destructive to your efforts.
Now, I'd like to add to what Doug said, because what he said was absolutely right, as far as we know. But what the next level was doing when they gave us that information to give to you that night, they were trying to switch that pendulum over. In other words, it was like trying to start the auxiliary generator. And if you had responded on a downer and said, I can't do anything right, no matter how hard I try, I just can't do it, then you did not start your generator going. That first little spark. Now, like Bill said, shock therapy, correction, the negative things that we present to you are the things that cause your next level body to grow. If we praise you all the time and tell you, oh, that was really great, when it really wasn't great, that would be bringing out the humanness in you. And that's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to bring out the next level in you. Now, it doesn't mean that the next level thrives on negativism.
And our negativism doesn't work if you don't top it with positivism.
No, you've got to take that ingredient and do exactly like Joe said, put a Band-Aid on it, and grow from it. But if you take our negativism, our correction, our telling you that of the different things that you need to overcome, if you take that and go on a downer, then you are not doing what you're supposed to be doing. And you cannot grow a healthy next level body any more than a mother who is carrying a baby, if she lives on drugs and alcohol, will grow a healthy baby inside of her. There's no way that she can do it. And so therefore, the ingredient that you need, that we give to you, you've got to take it as, thank you, teachers. I want to learn from that. And that hurt that you do, you put a Band-Aid on it, like Doug said, and try to overcome the hurt by accepting the lesson, try to correct it, and if you can't do it the first time, then keep on doing it until you do correct it. But don't keep on doing it. Now,
Yes, but I'll make it.
the thing that you've got to realize was the shock therapy that happened the other night. It shocked both of us. Just as much as it did you, it did us a favor also. I'm sure it started our auxiliary motor, because immediately we had so much energy from it that we thought that something great, something good is going to happen today, you know.
I really like what T is using, the auxiliary motor. I don't know if you can see the importance. I'm not sure T sees it in the way that I see it. Maybe she does.
Go ahead.
But the beauty of it is it's like cutting the cord. In other words, if we can do the things that will cause you to pull the cord on your own generator, instead of relying on the nutrition from your teachers, the encouragement and so forth and so on, then you are switching to your own power source. You're having the beginning of your own power source. Just like when the baby, when the cord is cut and the baby takes its own breath, even though it's still the genetic structure of the two that it was formed from, it is still an independent individual. It is still standing on its own. And when you can stand on your own with your next level mind and be your own generator source, because you can be trusted to not die Now, if the baby, if the cord is cut, or the baby doesn't want the cord cut, then the baby's in trouble. In other words, it doesn't want to breathe on its own. Now, if our negativity that we give to you by lessons, or we're calling it negativity, let's say it's like a wound that we give you. We cut a little niche in your flesh, and it hurts severely for a moment. But we also know that usually when we give you that the wound that is there for that moment is all the wound that you can stand if that is going to completely heal and be stronger flesh than it was before it was even cut. Now, if you turn around and add negativity to it and make that wound bigger by going on a downer, you see what we're saying? And you let it linger, and it festers, and it gets infected, you're in serious trouble because you have not taken that wound and immediately applied the positive, so much positive by that lesson, and learned it so well. If you apply the proper positive, when you're ready to peel that Band-Aid off, that place where that was is stronger than any place on your body, except other places that have been lessened. You see that? Because you have learned the lesson because of the positive you applied to it. But anytime you take that wound and make it bigger, or refuse to give it its antibiotics and its healing by learning the lesson, then it becomes a festering wound that essentially can threaten your whole health. And so remember this, that you can't let a negative, you can't afford to let a negative be enlarged upon by yourself. You can't afford it. No, not at this time. And when you apply the positive, then you are immediately starting the healing. And when you apply such positive that you're not going to need that lesson again, then that wound will heal better than any part of the flesh that exists. So, two very good illustrations to my way of thinking this morning is this generator of your own, because he's been talking about this pendulum swinging and this having enough next level mind in that it weighs more than the humanness, and it weighs so much more that the humanness begins to be recognized as something that's distasteful and out of place in there. And it sounds to me like when you've got that much next level mind in, then you're beginning to run on your own gas. But it's the same gas as all other members of the next level run on. If it begins to have poor quality chemicals in the gas, then too much humanness is seeping. It has to be the same octane and has to be the same quality of gas in order to be of the same mind of other members of the next level.
In my mind, this is your Christmas present from the next level. In other words, it means that you have enough mind that you can start your auxiliary motor. Now, whether or not it's going to keep going, that depends on you. But you hope that enough fumes from the gasoline will come in and keep it going, and you're going to feed it more and more and more so that it will go on its own. And of course, the gasoline is the positive that you take every time we give you the negative. Now, the negative has been coming so fast lately. And it's like, well, you can't do anything right. And it's because we are pushing you. And you should take every negative and put a Band-Aid, like you might have Band-Aids all over your body. And if you do, that's great, because that means you have stopped the infection and have tried to start the healing process. Evidently, you all are in an okay place. at this time, or we wouldn't be starting our auxiliary motors, right? Which brings in the thought that none of you are better than anybody else in your class. None of you.
Or worse.
Or worse. Otherwise, we would pull you aside, different ones of you aside, and say, we're going to start your auxiliary motor. You know, not exactly that way. But it does mean that you all have effort stronger than the others. You see what we're saying? In other words, I'm not contradicting myself when I said last night that effort is what makes your next level body grow. It depends upon how much effort you put into your mind. In other words, if you don't put any effort in, let's see how I can say it. Okay, let's look at it this way. When you all watched The Price is Right, do you remember that game show? Remember that little game that they had where they had this looked like a big thermometer, and it was a range, and they had an article that they were going to give to you if you could guess the price range, and it was between a couple of $100. If you got within that range, then you won it. Okay, let's say that all of you are within the range of having your auxiliary motor started. But some of you may be right on, and some of you might be right barely on. But at least you're in range. Now, this, I think, answers the question about effort. You can get more into the range,
into the upper part of the range,
into the exact price range, using that game as an example, and which means that you have more effort. But it doesn't mean that any of you are so far behind that you can't ever be where you're supposed to be. You see what I'm saying? You still grow according to the effort that you exert.
What kind of effort?
And as soon as the last one got within that range, we were able to start your auxiliary motor. You see what I'm saying? Even though some may have more effort, may be closer to the price range than the others. But you all are within range.
And whoever's within range wins the object. Right?
That's right, wins the prize. Now, let's say you took what we gave you and went on a downer. Does that mean that you really flunked? No, it just meant that you had a little bit of infection set in, and hopefully you have gotten yourself out of it. Put a Band-Aid on it. In other words, you might waller around in that infection wall. And if your teachers had to step in and put a Band-Aid on it by talking you out of your dental, then of course your auxiliary motor is just barely going. And you got to get busy and put a Band-Aid on it and make some
flooding.
You know how that old generator used to sputter that we have? And that's about how it's doing. But you want to have that, again I'm going to use the example the answer that Lakota gave. You want to get in there and you want to be on T's team, or those teams, if it takes everything you have. In other words, I'll show you I can do it. That's the kind of positiveness that you want to add to that negative that we threw at you. And that will help your auxiliary motor start going faster. And don't let anything we say to you, even if we say to you, that is the worst thing you could have possibly done. I wouldn't have even done that. Which that's what we said the other day in Q-Car. Didn't I say? Even I know that. Why don't you know it? You see what I'm saying? And I couldn't have hurt anybody worse by saying that. And I knew it when I was saying it. But I wasn't doing it because I was malicious or mad. I was trying to give you a negative so that you can take that negative and grow from it, but not take that negative and go on a downer. Because if you accept our lessons in that way, then you're taking our lessons from your teachers as though we are the meanest people alive. And after I said what I did the other night, I went in there and I suffered because I felt like I could have hurt you. And that's not what I ever want to do. But I know that being an instrument of the next level, that I had to say it.
I think the next level even snuck in and had tea said before she knew what she was
Well, I
saying.
did. Afterwards, it was like,
No, no.
I'm telling you, motor really excited about that. You see what I'm saying? Whenever, one of the things that can help you, anytime we give you a lesson, know that it hurts us worse than it hurts you. That old saying. And it does. And that can help you get that Band-Aid on pretty fast.
We have to get some pretty hefty Band-Aids out of our own.
When we suffer, we have to put a Band-Aid on our negativism just like you do. Because our poor vehicles have to suffer from what the next level puts into our mind, like it did the other night. Understand we do not delight in correcting you all the time, but we know that we are the pill pushers, which is the negative is the pill, and we have to push it to you because that's our purpose. And what you want to do is take that pill, even though it might, I don't know that it could be sweet to the taste. I think it's bitter, you know. But once you convert it in the right way, it turns out to be sweet.
Nutritious.
Very nutritious.
But you're talking about going on a downer. I might have gone maybe to the other extreme and not have really gave it the seriousness that I feel I should have, that I'm feeling that I should have now, because when I heard...
Coming down to me.
Yeah, I'm going to go down. No, I'm just...
You just don't want to do that on your 30 toes.
I just want to cover my bets that I'm, telling you exactly what, because it's like it's coming to the surface where I understood what you're saying. I didn't go on a downer, but at the same time, I didn't go, well, I'm going to do this, right? I didn't apply any effort, I don't think. I just listened and accepted it and knew what you're talking about. But
well, it should have been a serious hurt for all of you. A momentary, serious hurt that you then quickly decided that it was going to be an instrument of growth for you, and that you were going to make the most of it, and that it was going to end up being a positive for you, not discouragement or not a negative. But there's no way that something like that couldn't be a serious hurt to you, because there's certainly enough next level mind in all of you at this point that we know that you want to be trustworthy, and you want to be able to serve in whatever capacity that you can, and to say, I'm sorry, but you can't serve in this certain capacity at your present condition. There's no way that could not hurt you, and yet it can also spur you, and even more than anything could spur you, if you ungrab your Band-Aids and put it on and say, I'm glad to see that, because now I can see exactly where I am, but that means where I'm going to be is more clearly in front of my vision than where it was before.
It's not too late to feel hurt now.
Just don't make the wound big. Just don't increase it.
I feel like it did start something like that. I really motivated to use the explanation for what I was feeling, I hope. Because I know, like, when I woke up the next morning, I felt like a desperation, thing I can put on at night. I felt that morning like the thing came into my mind is if you had said, okay, we have a special task we're going to send some on in the next couple of days, and we're going to watch you for the next 2 days, and the ones that performed are the ones who go. And I felt like, I just felt a desperation that I hadn't felt before. It was good to have to do everything right, because with everything I do, I'm not going to the point that will show I can be on that project. That's just the way it is.
Let's look at it this way. Suppose that every creative garden, let me start over again. Suppose that when the next level decides to make a creative garden, like Planet Earth, let's say Planet Earth is going to be a creative garden. I say going to be, let's say that Planet Earth is in the process of change in order to become a creative garden. Let's say that it takes many moons to make a garden an evolutionary creative garden. It doesn't just happen very easily. In other words, let's say that the process is they put a Lucifer on a garden, and which is Lucifer in parentheses of Satan, a lower force, a negative force. And over the process of growth, they put humans that are born through fornication, like these humans are here. And then the next level has a crew that nurtures this garden, even though they allow Satan to step in, or the lower forces, Lucifer, whatever we want to call him, to do whatever he wants to. They give him the free rein. But then the little minds and vehicles, genetic structure is being built all this time. And whenever a tribe gets too bad, like over in Israel or in the Middle East, when the Lord was working very closely with the children of Israel, how he told the children of Israel, now, you go and kill that tribe over there, and I'll be with you to help you. And you kill every human, you kill all their cows, you kill all their oxen, their sheep, everything, and don't take anything for yourself. Well, they probably did that because the tribe was so bad. The Lucifer force was too strong. That ingredient was getting too strong into their genes. So they had to get rid of it before it got too strong in there and spoiled the plan that was happening for this garden, or could happen for this garden.
They were no longer convertible.
Right. They had to stop it. Now, so then they got rid of all those tribes and planted some children of Israel, and the Lord gave them instructions on how to worship only Him and to get rid of all those other gods, and that lasted a couple of days, and then they reverted back to the old place, and then the Lord came in again and told them again and punished them in some way, and they spent several years under the control of somebody else. But all of that was like doses of medicine, because the next level was building genes. They didn't care about vehicles. They were building genes. You know what I'm talking about? Not blue jeans. I'm talking about chromosomes and genes that are in the vehicle, right? Can you follow me so far? Okay, now, then it reached a stage where the next level could pull away and look at the whole world, overall world, and allow Lucifer force. In other words, the proper genes had been built up to a certain point, and then everybody spread out and began to create America, North and South America. Everything started to build up. Alaska was even, all the places, wild places, places that had never been explored before. Everything they were allowed to do as they pleased, and all the while, the next level was nurturing them. And a whole crew of next level people were nurturing these humans in this garden. Now,
don't forget that nurturing at the time is by pulling weeds.
Right. Bumping off.
Yes, bumping
Had
off.
wars, getting rid of things that were getting too bad, that was too much of an ingredient to make the right kind of genes, because the end result is you created garden without these vehicles. But the genes will build the kind of vehicle that doesn't need to be born of fornication. Can you understand that? In other words, it takes billions of Earth years to make a creative garden. So in a sense, this garden is a very young garden. But it is in the process of becoming a creative garden. Now, this is the kind of work the Next Level does with this garden. Now, it doesn't erase anything that these are just plants. We haven't changed anything, because these are just plants. They can't do anything but develop genes. Actually, they are a little plant that grows genes. Some plants, they get sunflower seeds out, right? And they eat sunflower seeds. Well, the kind of plants in this garden, they get genes. Can you understand? That's what we're calling genes. It's an ingredient that they need in order to eventually make this garden a creative garden. Now, let's say that T and Doe have a position in nurturing this garden, and let's say we're in charge of dispatch. Okay? And so we pick the individuals who go on the task that needs to nurture this garden. Now, this is what I was thinking about the other day. When I really didn't have time to think about it, because it came into my mind as soon right before I said it. But the thought came in that, can you all be trusted to do a task according to the letter where you would not destroy any genes? Or you would add to the experiment that's going on in this garden, or will you take away from it? And the Next Level doesn't have time for anybody who will take away from the experiment. So therefore, you would have to sit back and empty bedpans and give bed baths and things like that, menial tasks, until you had grown to be able to be trusted to do a task that was more important, where you could be trusted totally. And that's what we're trying to get you, we're trying to help you to grow in that way. We cannot, like Joe said, we cannot pat you on the back. When we say to you, that was a good response, it's an honest response. You did give a good response. But it wasn't given to you because you needed to be given praise. It was because we felt like you really did give a good response. And anytime you give a good response, we will be more than happy to say, you did a good job there. And sometimes we come out and say the experiment was good. It didn't mean we were saying it to you because you needed to hear it. We said it because we felt like it was a good experiment, and you did good. Now that's the kind of praise you will get in the next level. If you do a good job, they will say, you did a good job. We'll give you another one. That's what you want to hear. But they will not say it because you look like you're down and you need some praise.
And their standard is so good that if they say, I don't find any fault with that, that's about as good a...
You can't get a better compliment.
You couldn't get a better compliment than
Now,
that.
this is the way of the next level. When you do a good job, you will know about it. But then sometimes you might not know about it, but you will know about it. But sounds like I contradicted myself. You won't always have somebody say you did a good job.
No,
But you will know you did a good job because you will be given another chance.
that's right. And if they don't come and tell you what was wrong with it, you know that it was right.
Well,
They may tell you that it's right, or maybe by by having you do it again without correcting it, there you know that it was right. They wouldn't have you do it again if it was wrong.
So the point I'm getting at is that there will be many, many tasks in the next level. They need everybody. There's no waste in the next level. Only the amount that they need usually goes to the next level, if that makes sense.
This is why they want you to. This is why we want you to be strong enough that you can be trusted in a task. Because if you aren't trusted, then there's waste. You see that? If you aren't trusted and corrections have to be made, then that's wasted effort and wasted time.
So, thing we can say is just get Band-Aids all over your body, really, and work.
If it's true that this genetic structure is being built in the direction of these plants being more useful to the next level, we can even see why there are such movements like Moonies, for example, and Mormons, where their standard is what they're trying to create in their plants is, in other words, the next level could be using these movements because they're saying, I'm not going to have sex except for children. And then the basis of that sex is not even going to be lust after one another. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but like, let's say Sun Moon goes and says, picks out total strangers, and they may have absolutely no attraction to each other's vehicles, and he says, you're going to be man and wife, and you're going to have offspring. But you're only going to have sex when you want to have offspring. Well, isn't that beginning stages of changing genetic structure? After so many generations of the genetic structure existing merely on just animal lust, can you see that? It doesn't mean it's going to happen overnight, nor does it mean that the offsprings of those would be ready for anything. But it might mean that their offsprings wouldn't be long until they would be genetically ready for such thoughts as any offsprings we have will not be a fornication at all. It will be, if we have any offsprings, it will be extraction of sperms. It will be test tube babies where there's no sex involved in either case in any way. You see, in other words, it could slowly build to where they were ready. They wouldn't want to participate in anything so animal as to have offspring as a result. I'm just giving you something to think about in terms of what T was saying, that it's true that this garden could be in the early stages of being a productive garden.
And it makes an awful lot of sense if you stop and think about it, because to go to the next level, you have to be purer than any human in this garden, even in his highest purity. In other words, the highest purity of the human is something like these gurus or these Indian teachers or these seers or sages or whatever they call them in India. That's about the highest a human can go. And that isn't good enough for the
That's
next
very
level.
impure. By next level standard.
But they did do one thing. They built some good genes so that the next level can use them for future, what's the word? Future use, I guess.
Okay, and you see that, let's say that they became pure. Then, because where you came from, it was pure. Where you graduated from, it was a pure garden. And what greater thing could happen to you than in order for you to gain strength to be dumped in a circumstance that was completely animalistic and completely impure and in its very early stages, and to have to pull out, and when things are in their early stages, the vibrations are very strong. And do you understand what we're saying? They're very hostile and very strong. And what could give you better strength? In other words, you can see that if this garden did move forward and did become pure, that would mean nothing except that it had come into the condition of what the garden was from which you graduated to begin with, before coming on a task like this. It would mean that it would then have the capacity for little minds to come up in a pure state. It wouldn't give them any strength because it'd be pure. You see what we're saying? It wouldn't give them any strength, but it would be an incubator that had no germs. It would be a place where minds could come up then and not have that to deal with. But then, once they got to the point of graduating, they'd have to go to a similar condition to what you have gone to in order to gain strength. You see what we're saying? Mm-hmm. Don't know if you can get that in its right place, but it's a pretty neat plan. Seems pretty harsh while you're building a pit.
In the next level, uses this circumstance, like Doug said, to combine to build strength, and that's great. There's no waste, as we said many times, and you don't want to be a waster like that, so give this an advantage.
No easy task has great yield, right? No easy task has great yield, and isn't what you want is great yield, and you've been thrown in a pit, and it's a very difficult task, but the end result is great yield.
You know, these contests that they have, like these lotteries, people go in there with the actual idea that they're going to win. And yet they may sell 7 million tickets, and they buy one ticket, and they feel like they can win, which it is not easy to do. You have to exert the effort to win. Very seldom will it, well, I don't know about the lottery, because I've heard where they might buy 2 tickets, but then maybe that $2 that they spent, they couldn't really afford. So, in a sense, they did exert effort to take that $2 that they bought 2 lottery tickets with. Maybe it did exert a lot, because it could have been 1/10 of their grocery bill for the week. And they decided to do without in order to be able to buy a couple of lottery tickets. So we don't know how much effort was exerted. But how many times have you tried to play, let's use these grocery store games, bingo games that they have, and you just go and buy groceries, and you think, oh boy, this is easy, I can get BINGO real fast, if that's what it is, or the numbers. But it doesn't, when they get to a certain spot, you have one number, everything but one number. That's the controlling number. That's how they prevent everybody from winning. And that's how they limit how much people win, by that one number. And so therefore, this that you all are doing might be easy, may have been easy up to a point. But then, when you get down to the nitty-gritty of it all, there's somebody else steps in and controls the amount that you win, and you have to really work hard to get it. None of this comes easy. It takes an awful lot of effort. I mean a hell of a lot of effort, and that's using it very lightly. And what you have to exert from now on has to be a lot more than what you have exerted up to now. And you might as well get in there and be determined to do it. Because the end result, the prize, well, you have to do it eventually. Whether you do it here or do it in the next level. If you want to be active in the next level, then do it now. And then when you get to the next level, you won't be doing the menial task. You will be able to step into your position that has been allotted for you. Let somebody else into the bedroom. But you don't want to be able to do it. I think we'll go to that question.
When you mentioned about having band-aids all over your body, sometimes I feel like a mummy. But in a sense, that's my physics. It's a mummy suit. It's just a band-aid.
That's right. Speaking of wanting to apply the effort, an area that is kind of difficult for me to...
I'm not going to say anything to that remark. You just missed out on another band-aid.
A little bit unsettling.
I backed off.
Let's see if I can get this. I feel like objectivity is one of the biggest keys to learning how to apply that effort, and backing off from humans and not being a part of them or feeling for them or feeling, oh, that person is in such a poor state. In other words, we're talking about plants, genetic structure, or they're just a plant that, you know.
The next level is not unfeeling, but the next level doesn't feel at the level that the plant feels. Can you see the difference here?
Yes,
if I'm a greenhouse tender, I feel for the plants that aren't growing well, and I do what I can if it's my task to do it. I do what I can, but I don't get into feeling the pain that the plant is feeling or trying to comprehend it at the level of the plant. I merely see it, observe it, and try to help if it's my task to help. Now, you would lose a lot of ground if you, since you're occupying a vehicle that was built on human genetic structure, if you zero into their feelings, you have to let an awful lot of humanness come in. But this doesn't mean that you're cold-hearted and non-feeling. It means you start feeling from the next level. You start letting your next level mind look at this and wish better for them in a next level way. That's the kind of concern that you have, but it's not the concern at the level that they would be concerned, or the feeling at the level that they would feel. Because you don't know what's best for them. You haven't been given the task of nurturing them in that way, not while you're on the task that you're on. Because sometimes what's best for them is the thing that they would think is the worst for them. Is it not true that what was best for you just recently was what might have appeared to be the worst for you? To have an older member tell you that you're not ready to, not one of you to serve on my crew, if I had to pick a crew right now? And yet, the next level clearly indicated that was best for you. And it could do you the most good if you chose to take advantage of it. So you're not in a position to know how to nurture humans. But that doesn't mean you're cold-hearted. You just simply don't enter into those feelings. You can wish that they grow better, but you don't know what that is. It's not your task. Your task is you. Your task is pretty selfish right now because you have a job to do. Your task is not out to nurture humans. Your task is to nurture your next level body into its full development.
And then if it's right, it might be happening later.
Might be. It might be.
When Bill was in St. Louis and I was in Houston. I told you I worked in a hospital, in nursing. And the head nurse on the day shift, I worked the afternoon shift, the day nurse, started trying to cultivate my friendship. But fortunately, we worked 2 different shifts, so I didn't really have to. I wasn't in the position to be a friend to her other than just speaking to her as she goes off duty, so to speak. But she started, if you can remember how humans are, they brag about how much they have. Oh, I drive a $9,000 car, and I have a microwave, and my husband makes so much money, and I have all this and have that. And this is what this girl started on me. And I thought, oh no, don't tell me how much you have. Because as soon as you do, it's going to be taken away from you. And I began to hurt inside. Because I knew that something was going to happen to what she had. And it wasn't a couple of days later that her husband was in the record business, and he had 2 or 3 of these expensive records. And somebody stole one of them, and they found it burned up, all the equipment taken off of it, and the truck burned up, and then the insurance company wouldn't pay for it because there was some kind of problem here. And then right after that, another record was stolen, and they found the same thing happening. So the insurance company thought that they were trying to get rid of the records and collect the money from the insurance. And so there was a big to-do, and all of a sudden her world started to fall apart. And back 10 years ago, or 8 years ago, whatever it was, a $9,000 automobile was quite expensive. And it was a fancy sports car with all of the equipment that you need. You had to have $3 per quart oil put in it, and nobody could tune it up except a special technician. That was the kind of car you had. And that car went on the blink, nobody could even fix it. And all of a sudden, everything was happening.
She was getting some nutrition, wasn't she?
Okay, but what I was feeling the pain of it, because I thought if she had never told me about that, it would never have happened.
But in the sense her telling you about it was an indication that she was ready to be tested
That's
for
right.
further growth.
But it didn't stop the pain that I was feeling.
That's right.
You see what I'm saying? And so I had to put a Band-Aid on my feeling. I had to stop feeling her pain. Now this is what you have to do with humans. You have to stop feeling the pain that humans are going through. Sometimes I see on television or the news all of the things that everybody's going through, and I hurt inside. And I say to them, well, how much do they have to take before you will put a stop to it? But I can't let that pain overcome me. I have to put a Band-Aid on.
Because it's right for them. It's not wrong for them.
And I feel like as soon as we leave, a lot of this will clear up. But the only consolation I have is that they have to grow.
Yes, because if it clears up, then the growth would cease.
But then it would be the end of it, because something else will come in to start whatever it is to start. That's what I keep feeling, which we call the new age. New something, new set of instructions, or new set of
aspirations.
Right, new things will begin to happen. And all the bad genes that they're trying to get rid of will be gone. And they'll have the right mixture of genes in the world, and then they can start another type thing. But I am not unfeeling toward the human. I can't be. I'm not made that glorious stuff. But we can't water it. We have to put a Band-Aid on it. And then
well, then we don't want to feel it from their point of view, because that's lowering our vibration.
see the suffer. We can't delight in feeling suffering.
No.
That's what I'm trying to say. But yet we're not going to get down and suffer and tear up with it. We feel the hurt because we know that they are experiencing a lot of pain.
We also know that good can come of it.
That's right.
That's yours.
And that's what's putting the positive into it. Just think what you are building. We couldn't go to a human and say, you're really building a good set of genes. They wouldn't know what we're talking about. We'd probably be locked up someplace. And so therefore, only we know that. And we know that one day all of that will be over. And if they survive, just think of the good genes that they will have grown. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So that may help.
Thank you.